Hi everyone, this is Joe from the Jodo Cast. If you enjoy what we do here at the Jodo Cast and think it's worth your hard-earned money, you can support the show via Patreon. The show is ad-free and we depend on the support of our generous patrons to pay our bills, upgrade old equipment, and bribe Imperial officials. Just a $2 donation gets you access to exclusive content such as off-topic discussion videos, uncut videos of the show, the ability to watch us record the show live and even chat with us as we do so, access to the patron exclusive channel on our Discord server, access to YouTube videos before anyone else gets to watch them, and more. Consider becoming a Noodle Scooter today. And now back to the show.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Jodo Cast, your Star Wars gaming podcast. This is episode 126. My name is Evan Lewis. I am, of course, joined by Leo Andry.
Yep.
And Joe Latovsky.
Oh, that doesn't work because the video I'm recording in a different position.
Which way do I go? Do I go that way?
Down and to your
Joe
right.
Latovsky.
Down to your right.
Joe Latovsky.
No, down, I said.
Joe Latovsky. There we go.
Hey!
Now we got it.
It's me. I'm here.
And all of the patrons joining us in tonight's chat. It's always great
From around the world.
See you around the world. Those joining us live.
National patrons.
We do. We've got some Canadians and is he from Norway or Sweden or Finland?
I'm trying to remember. I sent him something long ago. It cost a lot.
Tursky Land. Proto Minnesota. That's what we'll call it.
I think there's only a few countries left where we don't have patrons. So if you're listening from Egypt, we could use one of those.
India is shutting down the internet, so sorry.
We've been blocked in China for a long time, presumably. You know what? I'd be offended if we weren't restricted in China. We're not doing a good enough job.
That's true. Anyways, we do want to, of course, welcome and thank again the patrons who make all things possible. In patrons we trust, and I have to give a personal shout out to our latest patron, a good friend of mine. What?
I'm being your hype man.
Oh, well, I won't get in your way.
Oh, I was just kind of echoing the things you were saying in an excited way.
I see. Because I'm not doing a good enough job with the excitement. But thank you, Garrett Maxey.
Maxey!
It is forever just Maxey. It's good to see your words, even if I don't get to hang out with you and play D&D and Magic one weekend a month and 2 weeks in the summer. So, thank you for joining us, and thank you, of course, to all the other patrons who are just like PBS and NPR, brought to you by patrons like you.
We need PBS give
are we doing pledge drives? We should.
I probably shouldn't lean back in my chair like this. It's falling apart.
Well, for content's sake, lean back.
That'd make a good blooper.
We should come up with like tote bags, like the NPR tote bag or coffee mugs for pledge season.
You can get coffee mugs with some pretty cool Leo art on them if you go to our TeePublic store. I was close to getting a Buddy Jodo one and the sexy Battle Droid one as a mug, but I don't need more mugs. I have too many mugs.
That's my problem too. Yes, I feel that.
Like, even if you ever get like a free mug somewhere, you're like, this is cool, but like, I got a lot of mugs already.
Where am I going to go?
What am I going to do with
Why can't I hold all these mugs?
We talking about mugs today, Evan?
No. We got something close to my heart and stabbing my soul to talk about, but I suppose we should, really quickly, let's put 60 seconds on the clock. And Joe, what have you been playing?
I've been playing Shadows of the Empire. I played that for the first time ever. There will be a video of that coming out.
The first time ever?
You said I got 60 seconds. I got to keep going. There'll be a video of that on our YouTube channel soon. I played Galactic Battlegrounds for the first time ever, and it was kind of fun.
Oof. You're a brave man.
I kind of liked it. I played some Battlefront with the fellow from the Uplink podcast, formerly Battlefront podcast. I played the Squadrons, always playing Squadrons.
30 seconds.
Oh, I got plenty of time. I painted. I've been painting Cassian as one half of my February Jodo of painting submission, and I played Star Wars Life, the board game.
Oof. How was that?
It was very funny.
Dink, 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 dink. Bah.
Okay.
Leo.
No.
Putting 60 seconds on the clock.
Was Joe even born when the N64 came out? So
here's my relationship with.
He was born the day it came out.
Shadows of the Empire came out in 97 or 98, I think, or 96. 96 or 97.
96. September of 96.
Okay, because something on the internet told me 97. I think Steam might have actually said 97. But my uncle had, because I've probably discussed this before, I didn't have a personal video game console until the original Xbox, and even then it lived at my grandma's house, so I only played it every now and then. Before that, my uncle had a Nintendo 64, and my brother and I would play Mario Kart all the time, and sometimes I think it was called Rush, and sometimes NASCAR. Rush is a racing game. Mostly just Mario Kart. But then we're like, oh, what's this? It's a Star Wars game. And then I watched my brother play Shadows of the Empire for like 20 minutes. And then we were like, this is kind of lame. Let's go back to Mario Kart. I was
fair.
5 when that game came out. 6.
That's fair. Okay. Leo, do you reclaim your time?
Okay. I painted something.
Ooh.
Yeah. Ooh. Very nice.
Gotta do the...
It's a golden boy.
Leo holds up a painted C-3PO miniature from Star Wars Legion to the camera. He puts his hand behind it to get the camera to focus.
Good job
has...
for
I needed
the
to...
people who can't see the video.
Yeah, for the visually,
Right.
essentially.
Yeah. And that's... Well, I guess I've been
30
doing
seconds.
more CCG card sorting.
Oh,
also.
we played...
Ooh.
We played the-
What?
Yeah, we played together on to test out GEMP, which is the online platform that the Players Committee uses for playing online.
It was pretty neat.
Yeah, and they recently just released a beta test of a new updated UI for the system, and so me and Joe decided to sit down and try it out and play. It was also sort of me reteaching Joe how to play, because it's only the second game of the CCG he ever played.
Yep.
So
It was fun.
There's a lot.
There's a lot in that game, but the thing basically kind of like holds your hand through it for the most part, and it it only lets you play cards that are legally allowed to be played, and so it was pretty neat.
Oh, wow.
We'll have like a little video review of the online platform for that coming out sometime.
Yep.
So
video
cool.
worth coming someday.
And maybe more gameplay videos if we get back into that. I thought it was fun. I'd do it again.
Cool.
All right.
What have you been playing?
I have been doing a lot of painting. You know what? I'll call it practice for when I paint more Legion, because I've got more Legion stuff, but I'm always like telling myself like I gotta save it for some painting streams because Joe wouldn't like it if I painted Warhammer stuff on Jodo stream. So I'm behaving myself. I'm practicing my craft so I can paint better for the public. Outside of that, not a whole lot of Star Warsing going on over here. Yeah, I mean, once I beat Fallen Order, I was like, well, that was great. Now what do I play?
Play it on
Squad.
You could play Old Republic or The Sims.
That's true. I did get Old Republic re-downloaded, so I'm ready to go on there. And yes, of course, I'm ready to go on more Sims. We got to see what happens with
Kronk.
Oh, Thronk Menudo.
We have a blue baby boy at Batu who needs to get laid.
A blue baby elder.
He is an elder.
Who needs to use the bathroom constantly because his kidneys stopped working, apparently.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And he sucks at his cards.
Profession is like a villain or something.
Yeah, Leo, did you see his how his game went against
Hondo?
Hondo. We played Sabak against Hondo.
Oh yeah.
It didn't.
that is exactly the voice.
That says it all.
Leo, how old is your son now? The younger one. When he comes up and shows Daddy something that he did that's obviously not interesting because it's something a child did, but you can't like say go away. That was the voice. Oh yeah, bud.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's nice, son. I'm sure he wasn't like, oh, that's nice, son.
You did good there, tramp.
Good job, Tiger. Good job, sport. All right. So
now for the serious stuff.
Why have you called together today, Evan?
Yes, Evan. Why have you brought us here?
Oh boy. I'm just making sure that my phone is ringers off as I navigate my table full of miniatures. So FFG, Fantasy Flight Games, for those watching and listening and maybe not down with the parlance of the kids these days, they have given another quality game the axe. And it's not even a Star Wars game. So if people are wondering, why are we even talking about this? It's because it's... I don't even know. Like, I spent all afternoon and evening thinking about how to present this, and now I'm just like at a loss because, grief Karga has gotten to me. They killed another game, and they are quickly running out of games. The game in question this time is one of the last competitive living card games they've had in their repertoire for the past 3.5 years maybe, and that's Legend of the Five Rings, which is one of those few games, like Magic the Gathering, that has survived the test of time just because of its sort of history. It's not even that the game itself has persisted the way that Magic the Gathering has, but just its name, its story, a lot of nostalgia. Coming into Fantasy Flight Games in 2017, I think. They made it into an LCG. It had previously been a CCG. And yeah, it was like... I was going to say a culmination of all the LCGs they'd previously made, but a lot of design went into this game because Legend of the Five Rings was, and still is, one of the most complex and still beloved themed card games of all time. With FFG killing Legend of the Five Rings, they only have one competitive card game left, and that's A Game of Thrones.
Do people...
And meanwhile...
You ever, remember that Game of Thrones was a TV show, and then go, huh, and then get on with your day?
I mean, people still reference it as, oh yeah, remember when it was good? And, but yeah, at one point, for a span of years, in fact, Fantasy Flight Games was producing more top flight games, both competitive and cooperative, than anybody else. And now it's sort of becoming a home for, I'm not even sure what. Asmodee's. I don't know if we can even call them moneymakers, but it's emptying out quickly of things that are interesting. So I guess with that, I'm guessing the two of you didn't have much of a response. To today's news.
Yeah, to be honest, it's one of those games, I guess I've never really paid that much attention to it because it seemed, what I looked at just seemed overly complicated. As a CCG, I never got into L5R either. It sucks that it's canceled, and like you said, it is a little worrying about what the future of Fantasy Flight's going to be when basically all the news we've heard out of Fantasy Flight for the last how many months has been our products are moving to other companies or we're canceling them,
Yep.
The only things that they seem to have going for them right now is that Marvel Champions game, which they seem to keep steadily putting out there. And the Arkham horror card game specifically, but just kind of that Arkham brand. Mm-hmm. And then that giant Descent box is coming out. That's kind of those three things.
And even with the giant Descent box, the most we've seen of that since they put out sort of the big announcement for it and their one of the last live streams they did, they've just been posting rotating 3D rendered images of the models on Twitter. That's it. There's been no preview, not stream literally on Twitch, but no regular updates of any kind. We're lucky these days. We're lucky if we get one article per week. And there was a time, I'm even thinking of 5 years ago, 2016, which is horrifying to think about. 5 years ago now was 2016. We weren't even, Destiny was not even on our radar yet. That wouldn't be on our radar for another few months. Neither was Legion. That was probably still just in development, and so was Rune Wars Miniatures game. But even so, they had so much. They were saturating their own market.
I feel especially with Rune Wars, when Rune Wars was coming out, I feel we got a lot of preview articles for Rune Wars, but leading up to the launch and things like that. But I guess I don't know how far out the launch of Descent is either. So I haven't paid that much attention to it.
I think the current schedule is for Q3.
Okay, so it is this year, huh?
Yeah, and I for some reason I thought it was Q1, Q2 at first, maybe March, because they announced it, they teased it, back in August. And then they gave us more information later in like October, November, I think. But now I'm pretty sure they're shooting for Q3. So yeah, like we're getting the X-Men game.
Oh yeah, I forgot that was the thing.
We're getting more and more content for the Marvel Champions. I mean, that's what they're really putting out.
Maybe
on a regular basis.
What if they're canceling L5R to make room for the Star Wars card game?
We have talked about
a year ago, almost exactly a year ago, Steve Horvath teased, and then there has not been a peep about since then.
Mm-hmm.
That seems plausible to me, because I think they've probably felt overextended with their organized play for a while. I know they did with all of those Star Wars miniatures games and Netrunner and Game of Thrones and all. There's so much for organized play. I don't think they were able to handle it. And so maybe they're just trying to pull back and give space to whatever comes next, rather than just pull back and go into a corner and die. Because
I mean, it would be sad to see any company, especially one that we think favorably of, for the most part, shrivel up and die.
Right, and they obviously still have the Star Wars license, and I am still waiting for an expansion to Outer Rim. I would love.
Thinking about that a lot.
We think there might be a card game coming for Star Wars.
There was a tease of something more happening to Imperial Assault, but
which I
don't know what. Like, is that still with Fantasy Flight? Is it considered a board game?
I feel like it's the same type of product as Descent. And if Descent is still with Fantasy Flight, then I think Imperial Assault would be. I want another game like Rebellion. Just like if that's going to be the place where they're going to keep putting out those card games and that kind of board game, why not, while you have the Marvel and Star Wars license, keep doing that? And you've got, you can keep putting out spin-offs on Twilight Imperium, which they had done at least once or twice, I think.
Mm-hmm.
The trend is, concerning, but maybe it's just all part of Asmodee's like trying to specialize their companies, because Fantasy Flight was previously doing everything, and now you get the RPGs, you get the miniatures games. Maybe someone else is going to get all the board games, and Fantasy Flight will be left with just the card games. I don't know, but maybe it's just kind of part of that, and they're kind of trying to lighten the load a bit before jumping into new projects.
That certainly is what they've done in the past. If you've looked at how they've cycled out LCGs and then brought in a new product, they killed the Call of Cthulhu LCG and then brought in Arkham Horror LCG. They didn't really kill Warhammer Invasion. Looking back, it's much more obvious why Warhammer Invasion ended, because Warhammer Fantasy ended. The world literally blew up in the course of the game. That story ended, and then we got Warhammer 40k Conquest. So you're absolutely right. Ending one game in order to make room for another is their MO.
And like I said, they seem to have been very overwhelmed with managing all the organized play stuff, and so now if L5R and Game of Thrones were the only ones getting OP support at this point, now there's only the one game. Now maybe they can bring in one or two, and supporting 3 games for OP is going to be
support for Keyforge anymore.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about Keyforge.
Keyforge has, well, in fact, as of this month, like 2 a week or two ago, they put out a statement saying, hey, here's what we're doing for Worlds, for Keyforge, specifically. And then today's announcement was, you might have noticed we didn't mention L5R. But of course, they also didn't mention Game of Thrones either.
What are the odds? And I feel like this could be a weird or inappropriate question that might... What was L5R hashtag canceled? I don't know very much about the player culture, but I remember there being weird stuff at large tournaments where people were like, I'm in this clan and I'm going to be all Japanese and stuff when I'm this basement.
Some of the traditions behind the organized play always did feel sort of like cultural appropriation kind of to me.
Yeah. Maybe they were like, because I know them and a lot of game companies nowadays are trying to hire and talk to more people who are, if you're making a game about Japanese culture, you better have, at least a couple like native Japanese people or people who are very familiar with Japanese culture consult on your game to make sure you're not like doing something dumb. And maybe they hired someone and like, the game's fun, but like the way these people behave at the tournaments, I don't know about that. I don't know. I'm just speculating, but it always seemed like something kind of weird to me.
But at the same time, like Christian just said, he said, I've never saw anything online. I don't remember ever seeing a like complaint about the game or anything that. It's just sometimes when people would like explain to me some of the stuff that would happen at tournaments, I was always a little like, I'm surprised I haven't seen people complain about this, because it seems like in another setting, it's exactly the sort of thing that people would be yelling cultural appropriation about.
Sure,
but I said, I
didn't think about that.
So I don't know that
it's probably not that. I just wanted to put that out there.
I mean, it's worth addressing because there's now I'm not going to be able to think of it because I don't have it pulled up, but there's at least one podcast about Asian representation in role-playing games specifically, where they address like L5R is problematic. They tried to, like FFG specifically, tried to make it not awful. Like if you look at some of the Dungeons and Dragons versions of specifically L5R or the horribly named Oriental Adventures, they're bad. They're really bad. And FFG, to their credit, did what they could with the property to... Oh yeah, Asians Represent is the podcast, I believe. Thanks, Christian. FFG took great pains to make it not just culturally aware, but, not culturally insulting, and to make it a socially conscious game.
Okay.
And
that's cool.
But at the same time, though, you're right. If fans are being fans, if a bunch of angry white dudes are being a bunch of angry white dudes, and they're, appropriating...
They removed the paragraph that encourages me to do a weird accent. I am mad.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you, playing L5R RPG, you gotta think ahead. I'll just say that you gotta think ahead, and and the thing is, like, it's supposed to be inspired by samurai films. Like, it specifically says, yeah, it's inspired by cinema. It's not trying to replicate real Japanese life. It's supposed to be like, but that's a very white person excuse. That's an extremely white person excuse. But at the same time, I mean, this could be a whole episode about representation in fantasy and sci-fi, which as three white guys, not qualified. We can talk about how it's bad and like, don't be like this, but at the same time, like Joe said, not qualified. For FFG though, again, looking back 5 years, like this fall, this November, it will have been 5 years since we went to the cities for the World Championship, right?
Yeah, back when we used to do that in the cities.
I remember times when I would be all sad because they hadn't posted a new article about a Star Wars product in a week. I'd be like, it's been a whole week and they haven't posted. Now they go a whole week without posting anything for any game.
Yeah, it's so weird. It's so weird. And it's not like they've lost the Lord of the Rings license or the Game of Thrones license or Star Wars.
What is it? Adventures in Middle-earth? Journeys in Middle-earth? That's a game that's still pumping out stuff, isn't it?
Oof. Boy, that's another topic. Let me tell you. So it's a very good game. It's very much the same design team as Descent and Imperial Assault and upcoming Descent. They released an expansion last year, and it has not been on shelves. It has not been in production, apparently, since the fall. People are looking for it. They cannot find it.
Huh. Maybe.
And of course, they've
know.
done away with the reprint status on their upcoming page. Not that it was ever super reliable, but you could see, okay, this one's coming back pretty soon. They're printing more. And it could be a matter of this past year, getting things printed in China is difficult.
That upcoming page is about as useful as tits on a log.
Or screen door on a battleship.
That wouldn't it be the screen door on a submarine? I mean, you could
That's the joke.
Actually put a screen door on a battleship.
That's from Back to the Future too.
Log from? Is that a reference? Or is it just something Minnesotans say?
It's a log? You've never heard that saying before?
That's one of those Minnesota sayings.
Yeah.
But you should be familiar with that.
I could think of uses for tits on a log.
Whoa. Whoa.
There could be more. There could be things with less use, is what I'm saying. Like a screen door on a submarine.
Wheels on a tomato. Completely useless and a waste of time. But yeah, just like, my gosh. They were pumping out X-Wing and Imperial Assault and RPG and LCG. And in 2016, like later that year, we got our first taste of Destiny, so that was well in development. A year later, Rune Wars comes out. They were still pumping out content for Descent Road to Legend. And now it's just like, and there's tons of other games I haven't even talked about. They released Doom, the board game. They released Gears of War, the board game. I think that was the tail end of the Battlestar Galactica board game. They just used to have so much. They had more LCGs than you could count on one hand. Now it's just like Marvel and Arkham. Like literally, it's Marvel and Arkham. And Game of Thrones, but Game of Thrones hasn't seen anything in a while that I'm aware of.
Everyone's just sitting around waiting for Winds of Winter to come out.
Yeah. Well, in fact, 2016, I'm pretty sure, was the year they released Game of Thrones 2nd Edition. And that game had been around forever, so a 2nd edition was warranted. And Lord of the Rings is still on its 1st edition. They just somehow keep finding things to mine. Soon they will have dug too deep. But it's just taken a second to think about where they were up until recently, they released Legion to such huge fanfare. In that span of time, they had and lost, well, I wouldn't say lost, restructured their license with Games Workshop, a game company licensing out their IP to make other games, which is always funky, and Netrunner, a game company licensed out to another game company who licensed that out to another game company to make a card game. That one's fairly understandable. But everyone was making money on Netrunner, hand over fist. And yeah, like Joe said, their organized play could not keep up. I mean, they may tell us otherwise, but FFG OP has been, last year, 2020, bad example. Bad year for OP. But I don't think we can put all the blame on 2020.
I don't know. I still think blaming OP is such a weird thing, though, to me.
Oh, I'm not blaming OP.
I know you're not, but I've seen it a lot, like with Destiny and things like that. I guess just because for me,
yeah.
I guess maybe it's because I'm old, and it's like back when I started playing games, there was no OP really. Magic did have a world championship and a pro tour eventually, and the Star Wars CCG did have some tournaments and things like that, and world championship, but there wasn't. I don't know. It didn't feel like the driving force behind people playing these games to me. And maybe it's just because I was too young at the time. Maybe if I had been a little bit older when those games came out, I would have been more into that side of things or been more aware of it. Maybe that's it, but it just seems like back then you just played the game because you wanted to play the game, not because of tournaments or whatever.
Well, and I think that is probably one of the traps FFG fell into. And based on what we've heard from Atomic Mass Games, they are trying to pull X-Wing and Legion and Armada out of that trap, which I think is to the betterment. And I compared that to a Magic the Gathering mindset, where the focus is the competitive scene. And if you want to have fun at the kitchen table, great. But as opposed to Games Workshop, where it's like, have fun at the kitchen table. You guys want to compete? Okay. Sure, I guess.
Well, I kind of get it, though, because those different models work with, if you're going to have fun at the kitchen table, these people are still buying minis. They're still buying paints for their minis, things like that. Whereas like Magic, it's a lot easier to, if you're not playing competitively, it's a lot easier to just stick with some old cards you have or whatever, and, you've got your, that's why Magic, that's like why WotC is trying to push Commander into a more competitive format, because they want to try and get people to keep cycling out their cards in their decks, not you just build your Commander deck and then you're like, this is my deck. I'm just going to play it forever and maybe tweak things here and there, but this is the deck I want to play. And you don't have to buy cards anymore. And that's not what WotC wants.
I can't imagine cycling out cards for Commander. That's baffling to me. But I mean, it makes sense from a financial standpoint for them. Oh, we got another patron in chat, TheBeard1808. Thank you for joining us. Basically, I'm lamenting. My doom and gloom for today is Fantasy Flight Games, since they only seem to report bad news. Except when it comes to miniatures, they are, putting out articles that AMG already talked about on their live stream.
When you post this video for the patrons, make sure the thumbnail is something like like, is FFG dead? And like, deads has to be in all caps.
I mean, that's
just make it a tombstone with FFG's logo on it.
we've done that for specific games. Now we can just do it for the whole company. I mean, I'm assuming the title of the episode is going to be.
We all got to make faces so Joe can take screen caps of
it right now.
And then Joe will make our eyes really big. And
I don't put as much effort into the Patreon exclusive emails because there's not as many viewers. But I mean, I assume the title of this is going to be like Fantasy Flight Dying? ?
Fantasy Flight Dead.
R.I.P. Press
FFG. WTF.
FFG.
Press F for FFG.
I mean, I went out to get, I'm not going to lie, I went to Costco to buy booze, but the whole drive out, I was just thinking about this and like lamenting, thinking about what it was like starting to pay attention to FFG in 2012. Their library was already gigantic, and I jokingly called them the EA of tabletop because they had so many licensed games at that time. And now it's just...
Now they're more like the BioWare of tabletop, where they got bought by EA.
And they had like a lot of cool products that we loved for so long, and now it's like, oh, are you guys doing okay? So we still have this really like emotional connection to you as a company, but you guys doing okay? Whoa, what's this Anthem game? No, thank you.
But
yeah, it's like we need to have an intervention for them. It's like, hey, we're really concerned for you.
Well,
let's have a sit down.
I guess I'm not concerned about Fantasy Flight dying per se. I mean, as long as they can keep pumping out Arkham, they're probably going to be okay. I mean, they already have.
Yeah.
There's definitely more Cthulhu that they can mine.
Is there though? In fact, I was thinking about this too. About like, okay, let's say FFG is going to be like the niche board game company, not the Star Wars Monopoly company or the Star Wars Life company, but the Star Wars Rebellion company and the Outer Rim company.
Isn't that what they are already?
I mean, they are, but that type of game, that type of niche game, if you look at what they've done for Star Wars niche board games compared to what they've done for other board games that they've made in the past, they haven't done any expansions. And of course, we are used to the types of games that have expansions. That's what they've taught us. That's what hobby games have taught us to expect. But like even Elder Sign, the Cthulhu Arkham dice game, had multiple expansions. A dice game had multiple it did. Yeah, I mean, Arkham Horror, of course, 1 billion expansions. Mansion of the Madness, 1 billion expansions. Eldritch Horror, 12 expansions.
Yeah, but I mean, there's also stuff like they've got a Twilight Imperium expansion coming out now. Mm-hmm. I could be wrong, but this is the first Twilight Imperium expansion I can remember. I mean,
you might be right. I definitely did not pay attention to 3rd edition, so I have no idea what to do with that.
I could be wrong. I just don't ever remember seeing any expansions on the shelves before this one. So
that could very well be. Like every single Arkham game, 1 billion expansions. They used to print.
He asked you, Chris.
Well, uh-oh.
He's telling me I'm wrong. There was an expansion for the 3rd edition also.
Oh. That's why he's here, to keep us in line. 2 of them.
That's why they pay us money, so they can tell us we're wrong. Damn.
That's right. That's it's part of the package. That's what patrons get to do.
2 of them. There was 2 expansions.
Wow.
Joe, go back when you post this, edit all this out where I'm wrong.
The patrons get the unedited content, so they'll get to see you.
They'll never know, except for these two, except for the patrons who are in chat.
I only edit out when I'm wrong. That's why I need to become an editor. But yeah, like so many of the Battlestar Galactica had an expansion, for crying out loud.
Battlestar Galactica had a couple, it's like 3 or 4, didn't it?
Probably. And back when they were making Blizzard board games, like Warcraft and StarCraft, pretty sure there was at least a Brood War expansion. It's just like, we've gotten how does Outer Rim not have one stinking expansion? So
and it's not even that. It's designed for room for an expansion. There is a deck of cards in the game that, like, you go to a place and it says, okay, check this card because this is what you're up to. And that deck of cards is numbered on the back, and there's a huge gap in the numbers where it goes from like 1 to 16, and then it goes from like 30 to 50 something or 90 something. I don't know. There's a big gap where it's like, oh, okay, they've obviously left space for future cards in this expansion. So I want
everybody, you got to go buy more copies of Outer Rim so that Fantasy Flight knows that.
I mean, I could get
a investment.
I could get a second copy, and then we could make a ring, because the board is a half circle. So if you had 2 boards, you could make it a full circle. I don't know what the point of that would be, but you could do it.
Twilight Imperium had an expansion called The Outer Rim.
Oh.
That was funny to see.
There's some kind of conspiracy at work here. I don't know what it is or why it matters, but it's at work.
The Outer Rim Twilight Imperium. Yes, absolutely. Star Wars Outer Rim Twilight Imperium.
I messaged what's his name? The guy who designed Outer Rim.
I don't know. I know who designed the LCG.
Like the main designer at Fantasy Flight these days.
Oh, not Andrew Navarro.
Andrew Navarro. Not Andrew Navarro. The other guy.
Not Andrew Navarro?
I'm annoyed because I can't think of his name. I'll look it up real quick.
Corey Konichka.
Yep. I tweeted at him, and I was like, have you read any of the High Republic stuff? Because as I'm reading this, I can't help but think it would fit perfectly in the Outer Rim. You just take that same system, and then instead of playing as smugglers and bounty hunters, you're just playing as Jedi. And instead of running around the galaxy doing like shady people stuff, you're running around the galaxy helping people. It's the same game, just flip it a bit. And I'm like, this would be perfect. He said he hadn't gotten around to reading them yet, but I heard it was good. But
and then he doxed you. Shut up. We don't need your help.
I want the high rim.
Oh, wow.
Outer
wow.
Republic.
Does Bethany know that? I just see a disgusted face on my screen right now.
I just want any High Republic tabletop content, to be honest, but I think it could have its own game, and you could just repurpose the Outer Rim engine, and it would be perfect for that.
I mean, if they want to give us the Shadows of the Empire treatment, everything but a movie.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping we would have gotten some sort of game announcement to coincide with High Republic's release.
I'm sure if
at the same time, I'm really surprised we still haven't got anything Mandalorian related either.
True, and they've even said that Mandalorian's coming from Legion.
Yeah, once again, over a year ago, they were they put a picture of the Mandalorian logo up.
It's wild that there's been nothing.
They were like, we're doing some Mandalorian stuff with Legion. That's all we can say right now. And then
X would have been the easiest place to put Mandalorian content.
Yeah. I will definitely give FFG/AMG a break on Legion product because of 2020, because of COVID and shipping issues. Because even as regular as Games Workshop has been with still trying to release content, their whole release schedule has been thrown off, like for last year and this year. And FFG working through restructuring, because this is major restructuring that we've seen over the past year and a half. Is that about right? When we heard about the RPG department?
Yeah, something like that.
And at this point, Edge Studios is still a non-entity. They've given us nothing. AMG is at least like, hey, everybody, you won't see our name on any products for another year, but we gotcha. And Edge Studios is like, we love making games to play in other universes. And that's it. Well, I just don't even know what to do with this anymore.
I'm actually very optimistic about Atomic Mass, but every day, as we've seen and we've been discussing, Fantasy Flight and seems to be slipping away, and Edge has given us nothing to be hopeful about.
I am enjoying the people who are already blaming Atomic Mass for things they don't like, though.
What?
Such as
what? What is this?
Okay, so these leaks that came out recently, on a French distributor site, or was it Canadian?
What's new about that? That sounds like business as usual.
No. So, but the things that were all leaked were like all Clone Wars era stuff.
Battle of
Kashyyyk stuff. So it's like Wookiee warriors,
the snail droid,
the crab droid, the mini crab droid thing. I forget. The snail droid looking tank thing. The Wookiee flutter flyer ornithopter ship. Some stuff like that. And I saw there was some people complaining about how they were like, can you believe there's only prequel era stuff in like this next wave? they were like, is this, Fantasy Flight for a while there was kind of doing a pretty good job of making it all even, which they didn't.
For the longest time it was only original trilogy.
Well, no, but I'm saying, and then the original trilogy, and then we got just prequel releases for a while, and then we got just Rebel and Imperial releases for a while, and then we got and now we're getting like just Clone Wars stuff again. And there were some people who are like, is this indicative of how AMG is going to be running things? I don't like this at all. And it's what the hell? I mean, number one, these releases have been planned for way before AMG took over. So,
what did they say on the live stream that one of these products typically takes about 18 to 24 months to get from conception to the player's hands?
Yeah, well, and last year when they did that interview with Steve Horvath, that we keep referencing,
it's all the hope we've got. That interview
he mentioned about how they have their Legion product line. They got it approved by Lucasfilm through 2023, so that means they already had releases planned up through 2023 with Fantasy Flight. So. Mm-hmm. It's not Atomic Mass.
Yeah, and really, who in this day and age complains about prequel stuff? We complain about sequel stuff. This is the new millennium.
I thought you were going to say, they're like, Kathleen Kennedy's putting out dumb Atomic Mass stuff. I can't believe she's ruined Star Wars games for us.
That's right. It's that cancel culture. That's what's to blame.
And then whenever a good a Legion unit that they like does come out, it's probably like it was actually secretly designed by Filoni and Favreau.
Alex
they programmed.
Kathleen Kennedy forced Alex Davey out of the company.
Oh, that's right. That's another thing. I mean, not that Alex Davey was the lifeblood, the heart, soul, and body of Legion or X-Wing, but we got communication. He was one of the few people that we had the pleasure of talking to more than one time.
I met him in person a bunch, too.
There you go. And that's something that I realized I could actually put into words, is that they are great at making a product. Whether we're talking about FFG of 5, almost 10 years ago, holy crap, like 9 years ago, or whomever their successors are. Like, they were great at making products that we liked. They were never good at cultivating community. They had the message boards, and that's kind of it. They were never good communicators, and that's one of the biggest failings. From what I understand, this is just to kind of show the differences. Apparently, previous to 2013, Games Workshop would not communicate with anybody about anything. Like, game store owners would be surprised when a new shipment of something would come in, or a new release would come in. Now they're just like, we're going to tell you everything we possibly can. And FFG has just always been like, no, we're not going to tell you. We're not going to talk to you. We're going to give you the bare minimum. We're not going to cultivate a community. We want to be part of the community, be an organized play. They were actively bad, Christian, because we would reach out to them. JodoCast reached out to them, not the person, JodoCast. We, the royal JodoCast.
I mean, we are the person that JodoCast. He is us.
Exactly.
We are him.
It's true. But we literally said, hey, we want to basically give you free advertising. We want to promote the product. And like even before JodoCast, like during Mos Eisley Radio, I would email them and say, hey, we want to report on you. We want to put this out there. What can you give us? Whole lot of nothing. That might be one of the biggest failings.
I still say that's a us. You know, it's not you. It's me kind of thing. Because you know, other podcasts get stuff. Other podcasts got spoilers, things like that.
Yeah,
they just don't like us.
Yeah,
they just don't like us.
I feel like
that could be. Because we try to be journalists. At least I try to be a journalist and not a shill.
They sent us the Outer Rim expansion before it came out one time.
That is the one time.
One time they gave us an advanced product and it was lovely and
for Rebellion.
Yeah.
Yeah, for Rebellion, not for Outer Rim.
Outer Rim?
Yeah, you did that.
Wishful thinking.
I was gonna say they did. Oh yeah, and the Keyforge RPG book. I'm pretty sure that did come out, although they don't have any copies of that at the game store. They only have Android and Terranoth Genesis books at the game store. You got to look under RPGs, which I don't know why they don't put like the Android RPG book under Android. I don't know. Their website is a whole other problem. Anyways, I'm not sure there's much else to really say without just complaining more and more and finding more problems
you
with.
Feel a little bit better though, since now that we've given you a chance to vent a little bit, Evan.
there is something to be said for talking it out as opposed to just stewing.
Got more annoyed.
I was ready to start flipping tables when I saw the announcement for L5R earlier, because it feels like a personal attack. I know it's not. I know it's a shotgun approach. I know it's a claymore mine approach to hurting people, not a sniper rifle approach to hurting people. But, like, every game that I'm just like, oh, I love this game. It's so bad. It's so great. And they're just like, oh yeah? You like that one? You like that one? Whoop! Pull the rug out.
Maybe you should like the better games like I do. I haven't had to deal with this much.
Yeah, you're right. I should just like all the games that are popular.
It kind of reminds me of Bethany has a curse of really getting into TV shows, and then by the time she gets to like season 2, she finds out it got canceled like 3 years ago. This has happened multiple times.
Yeah.
Whenever she gets into a new show, I'm like, oh, it's gonna get canceled soon, huh?
That's why you don't watch original series on Netflix, because they just cancel them after a couple seasons without ever finishing them.
They sure do.
ABC and NBC shows.
They go on forever. CBS shows, especially. CBS will run a show into the ground. Like, you guys are supposed to be teenagers. Yeah, we're 45 years old. Yeah. I mean, it
starts in the ground like Discovery.
Discovery Season 3 was fantastic.
I'll admit, I haven't seen it. Because the end of Season 2 was just too disheartening.
I know. But if anyone... it gives you like a free subscription, you should watch it. You can watch on my profile.
I haven't even got around to watching Picard yet, because Discovery just was bad enough. It made me not even want to watch Picard.
It was fun. It had a lot of good moments. Lower Decks, really good. But this is not the Star Trek podcast. That's our other show, and this... I was going to say, I always want to do like...
the mostly not Star Wars games podcast.
It's Star Wars adjacent.
I think the fate of Fantasy Flight is very important to fans of our show.
Yes.
In fact, let's bring it back. Let's talk about since 2012. We'll just use that as our marker. We've lost, in memoriam... Star Wars LCG, Forever Crying, Star Wars Destiny. I feel like Imperial Assault kind of transcended humanity, like Daniel Jackson at the end of Season 5 of Stargate, and sort of walked its way up to heaven. Like it never died, technically, it just ascended. X-Wing has gone west. It's gone to the Grey Havens, along with Legion, along with Armada. RPG went across the ocean, and it was never heard from again. And then that leaves Rebellion with its lone expansion, Outer Rim with no expansion.
The Empire and Rebellion card game.
I was gonna say Empire and Rebellion. You can't forget that.
No expansion. Maybe one day we'll be blessed.
They announced an expansion for that.
Yeah, Republican Separatist. And yeah, that's it. Two bodies in the ground. Republican Separatist, exactly. Republican Separatist.
That's just called a Texan.
I didn't think that was a Madness video game. I thought it was just a trailer for the app.
Oh no, it was a full-on video game.
Oh.
Well, didn't their digital departments all got shut down a while ago?
They buried that too, and yet they're still somehow selling. They're still selling the dang Lord of the Rings video game.
Yeah. Well, they just came out with the Game of Thrones digital board game. Not that long ago, too.
Well, and I guess we could put all of those could be filed under Asmodee Digital at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the one, like, yep, here's a game, buy it, give us money.
My best case scenario is, with the loss of all those other things we mentioned, they just have that much more time and energy to bring out more products like Outer Rim and Rebellion. Or a new card game. That's my hope.
Yeah?
Especially an Outer Rim expansion, which is happening, and you can't convince me otherwise. Even if Fantasy Flight Games shuts down, I'll think it's part of the plan. We're angry now. That Outer Rim expansion.
Be owned by Asmodee, so somewhere else could do it.
Yeah.
CMON is owned by Asmodee. They make games, right?
Is it? I always pronounce it "come on."
No, Z-Man.
Well, not Z-Man, but that is another game company
owned by Asmodee or not?
Are they? Oh, you're talking about Come On Games?
Yeah,
Come On the Games.
Come on.
I don't know. Is it Come On? Hey, come on, come on.
Come on.
Like Terry Bogard. Come on, come on. In any event. Yes.
It's going to go to... I don't even want to think about it. Outer Rim expansion's happening, and I'm going to have it in my hands one day, and it's going to be nice, and everything will be fine.
If they... You know what? This year, at some point, maybe to coincide with... I don't even know what they would coincide with to do a Force Friday. But if they gave us Outer Rim expansion and announced a new cooperative Star Wars living card game, I would be supremely happy. Because we would know then that miniatures, you go to AMG, they know what's up. You want card game and board game, FFG still doing what they do best. And if you want RPG, keep holding your breath. We would at least know where we stand.
Yeah, that's a good point. The biggest problem is just the uncertainty right now.
And the whole one article per week. This is what happened. Okay. We're seeing now in patron chat about the formerly Mansions of Madness video game from a trailer at Gen Con that was just awful. It's now an Arkham Horror, probably also awful looking video game.
And it's set to release sometime Q1 here this year.
We'll see. I mean, Duke Nukem Forever did eventually come out. So, who even knows? What is reality anymore? But we've been going for a while. I can certainly let you folks go if you're tired of hearing me just get more raspy. I need more whiskey so I can talk about all this garbage in America these days.
No, I think we kind of covered it.
Yes, I think we did. The moral of the story is don't get bought by Asmodee.
It's a good moral.
Yeah.
They can buy me out.
I was going to say, but if they offer me enough money, I will sell myself to them.
Yeah, if they want to, if they're going to be the ones to pay off everyone's student debt instead of the government. Okay.
You know what? I'm pretty cheap.
That's fine.
I'll be honest. They probably wouldn't even have to offer me that much money.
At least you're
going to be a Asmodee exec with a $20 bill on a fishing line. That's like trailing into an alleyway, and Leo bends down to pick it up, and it flutters feet away. Something hit him with a net.
Like, so you're gonna give a good review to that X-Men game, right? Right? X-Men Elder Sign. It's a great game, right? You know how much Leo loves Elder Sign. All right. Enough fun and games. We'll all have our nightcap and go to bed. So, Thank you, Leo. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, patrons who join us in chat. Thank you, patrons who will be watching this later on in your exclusive private viewing rooms. Thank you, generic listeners as well. We
special.
Store brand listeners.
the Kirkland brand listeners, we appreciate you so much. Your giant-sized vodka is what gets us through the week. All right, that's it. That's enough whining from me. Hope you enjoyed this. We will talk to you next time. Make sure to subscribe to the newsletter for Star Wars Hunters. Goodbye.